hello and welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whatever your name is. And I just want to say hi. So first of all, I'd like to just say a quick little shout out to all of the single parents out there. My wife, part of my gift to my wife for Mother's Day was a day away from the kids up at a cottage. And all I can say is that for the single parents that have more than one kid, even just one, but we have four little wonderful children. And I got to say, the best way for me to be even more grateful for my wonderful wife is when she's gone and I'm doing everything on my own. So I'm surviving. I'm ready to rock and roll. We're here. I have a sense that there's going to be some really great questions that are going to come through tonight. If you are just arriving, what I would love for you to do is just go ahead and post just like Kathy Hines. Hello, Kathy, from Ohio. So if you guys want to tune in and let us know where I always say calling in from. It's like we're on a phone call of some kind, but just where you're tuning in live from. And if you have any questions, you can post them here. And because I want to bring Tom on here in just a minute. And then I also want to let you guys know that I want to share a little bit about my story briefly whenever it works, Tom, just about my experience with the Master Cleanse and my history as a holistic health practitioner for the last 18 years. And also being a gold leader in Young Living and just my experience from many different perspectives. And I just want to share with you that this work is extremely life-changing. And I think that if you're here for a reason. If you're not here, then it's still for a reason. So go ahead. You can tag people in here live on the Facebook call right now, or the Facebook live. You can tag people and say, hey, Susie Q, you should come here and check this out. And then also after questions, it stays active. So it's on live here right now, but you can post your comments. Just note that if we will do our best to get to your questions. And what we're going to be discussing tonight is the Master Cleanse. And I'd like Tom, when I'm going to bring him on here, to share a little bit about Gary Young's experience with the Master Cleanse. And so Tom, let me turn on this little button here. And boom, you're there. Welcome.
Hi, Barney. Nice to be here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's always exciting and fun going live to people from all over. And I'm seeing some of the chat line here that on the side, we've got some questions already. Yeah. But I know, so I won't get to those just right away. Did you want to talk about your experience first, or did you want me to talk?
Yeah, I think I could. Sure. Hey, Barbara from Seattle. Nice to see you on here. Peggy from Abbotsford, BC, in your neck of the woods there, Tom.
Yeah.
And Des Moines, Iowa, and all y'all down here in Texas, Rita. So what I want to do is share my experience. So first of all, some of you might not know, not that it really matters, but I think it does to some degree. So I've been involved in holistic health for at least 18 years professionally. And on an interest level, I first got a book back when I was, I think, 15 or 16 from my mom about all these different holistic healing modalities. And I've always just really interested in different things. And Tom's putting on some abundance. I've got some juniper oil here. This reminds me of Gary, because this is the oil they gave out and passed out, or they were distilling and gave out, I believe, at at his celebration of life, which is coming up actually in 6 days. Or no, isn't it today, May the 12th, or is it May the 18th?
I'm not sure.
I feel like it's actually today. That's actually pretty spectacular. If you guys know that, let us know in the chat. But anyways, so the point is that I'm used to own gyms and had a very keen interest in holistic health. That's how I got started with Young Living. One of my mentors and coaches and guides shared with me the power of Young Living. And then I just started me down this whole journey of sharing the oils with people, changing people's lives. And every time I would recommend them, they would work. And so one thing leads to another. I have sold both my gyms. I still train and coach people part-time and enter the Master Cleanse. So I first met Tom back in 2015 on a trip to Winter Harvest I think it was in Spokane, Washington. I think we met on the bus en route to the Naples, the farm in Highland Flats farm in Naples.
Highland Flats, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I first learned about the Master Cleanse then, and my wife and I had tried and or attempted the Master Cleanse at least twice. And we did okay with it, but we didn't fully finish the whole thing. And so for those of you who got the email from me today from on the summit list, I shared about my story with losing 17 pounds of weight, but as Tom also refers to it often, of waste. And I can honestly say that I really think that it would have served me well. I don't think that it's a mistake in any regard. It all has timing. But I really believe that this is the missing link, no pun intended, because that was one of Gary Young's famous audio CDs, The Missing Link, about the power of essential oils. But I really believe that in our grand kind of selection of tools that we can use when we look at using Young Living products, the oils, the supplements, or whatever, until you take the time and the opportunity to go through the Master Cleanse and really cleanse yourself from the inside out, I think that it's safe to say that you might not have a full idea how well the products can work, because there's this concern about people thinking, oh, well, is it a Young Living affiliated program, and or are there products that are going to be used? And Tom's going to be talking more about that. But I just want to share with you that my wife and I both did it successfully. I would say about 90% success rate, meaning we had a couple slip ups during the 10 days. We're going to talk about what the Master Cleanse actually is. But I will say that if you or somebody you know is having some sort of health challenge of any regard, of any kind, and Tom will elaborate more on this, but that it really is a byproduct of being toxic. And you can be taking oils and taking supplements, but if you don't clean the pipes out, metaphorically and literally, the oils and the products don't have as much of a chance to be able to do their job. So my experiences with it has been really amazing, and I'm starting tomorrow with the group. So those of you who are going to be joining in and saying, hey, I want to do this, this whole quarantine lockdown thing has kind of went on a lot longer than maybe some of us wanted or thought, or maybe hoped, but it is what it is. And I think it's a really great time for us when we're at home to kind of simplify the decision-making that we are in a position to make about buying groceries, preparing food, and all that, when you can just say, okay, this is what I'm taking for the next, 10 to 16 days. And especially when you're at home, when life is, if you're working from home, it works really, really well. So that's my story, and I feel really great. And if you saw the pictures in the email, those pictures were taken exactly 30 days apart. So the first one was taken on April the 6th, and the second one was taken on May the 6th. And the 17.2 pounds I have maintained, because when I went down and then you go back on food, I went back up again, and then I went back on the Master Cleanse now, and I'm going back down. But my strength levels in the gym are still there. The first round, maybe not so much. I know we talked about this, Tom, but the first time my body was really going through a lot. And I found that the second round through, I was lifting in the gym, and I was walking every day, biking, and feeling really good. And so that's a good note for me, because I love my exercise. So that's my short little introduction and story with the Master Cleanse. Now, some of you might be wondering and saying, hey, Barney, that sounds really cool. It's a great story. I think I've heard of it before. And this is where would love for you, Tom, to take over, because let's just imagine that there's some people on here being like, who is Tom? What does he do? And what is the Master Cleanse?
Hi. Okay. Thanks very much, Barney, for that. The Cleanse is a program that's been around since 1941, and it was originally developed by Stanley Burroughs, and it was used firstly to treat ulcers. And for many years, all Stanley Burroughs did was treat ulcers successfully doing the Master Cleanse. And there were all these side effects. People's allergies would go away, and their asthma would go away, and their backache would go away, and their skin would clear up, and they would be losing weight, or waste, as I like to say, and on and on. And I'm not sure when it was. So that was 1941 that he, at first, from talking to Stanley personally about this, and then when he wrote his book, Healing for the Age of Enlightenment, And here's, I think, one of the original copies, one of the very first copies. Oops. And in there, he calls it the Master Cleanser. And this is so it's a diet that you don't just treat, ulcers or stomach issues with. You can treat it pretty much anything and everything. And if you don't know, and many people don't know, hi Sharon, I see you're on. It's nice to see you. Sharon had written to me. She's in New South Wales. Is that where? Australia. I've been to Australia a few times and taught there. So Gary Young, it was in 1973. It was in February the 6th, maybe. He was logging in British Columbia, where I live, and on a homestead, and a tree fell back and hit him. It took them several hours to get him out from under the tree, and he wasn't expected to live the day. The back of his head was crushed. His brain was exposed in 3 different places. He was in a coma, temporarily blind. His right shoulder blade was shattered into 9 pieces. Every vertebrae and disc in his spine was damaged. His spinal cord was ruptured in 3 places. His pelvis was broken, and every rib down the right side of his spine on the back was broken, as he described it, as if a meat cleaver had gone straight through. So after a couple of years in the chair, and he was depressed, and he decided that he would rather live dead or not live. Of course, then you don't live dead, but in a sense, some people do. There's the Walking Dead, and I explain that through the 10-day program we'll be doing. I'll talk about the Walking Dead, but he had failed to commit suicide a couple of times, so he decided that he would fool people and he would do something that's supposed to be maybe beneficial. So he went on the Master Cleanse, and he thought, if I stay on this program, this fast, which it's not, it's a diet, it's a liquid mono diet or program. And he thought, if I stay on this long enough, I will starve to death. Well, he did it for 256 consecutive days. And guess what? He got up and walked away from his wheelchair. He was using a cane at the beginning, which is to now say, if there were no Master Cleanse, there would be no Young Living. This is how Gary got out of the wheelchair, doing the Master Cleanse. And oils came many years later. And the oils, when he first started using, helped to address the pain that he still had from the injuries that he experienced in 1973. Now, 256 days in a row, is that believable? Well, she's a Young Living distributor, and her son was on the last group cleanse, and his mother did 372 consecutive days on the Master Cleanse. She was running 7 miles a day and never felt better. In fact, people were calling me from Georgia and saying, Tom, this woman's not going to stop. When is she going to stop? She needs to stop. And go, she can stop in her own time. And people are complaining that she's doing the Master Cleanse. Well, I talked to her and she goes, I've never felt better in my life. Why would I stop? And I go, well, you don't have to do this indefinitely. You make yourself well, and then you lead a new lifestyle. Change the way you eat, change the way you behave, change the way you think, and make better choices, And that's exactly what she did. And I was teaching a class, and it was their 3rd day into the class, and she asked me a question, and I knew she was on the cleanse, and I wanted to preface my answer with, well, what day are you on? And she says, I'm on day 119. And I said, what did you say? She said, I'm on day 119. When you're on day 119, how did this happen? And she had heard me speak about the Master Cleanse for about 5 minutes and was very interested. It was at a Young Living event. And so she decided she was going to do it. And then I saw her again, and she was about 250 days into the cleanse, and she was feeling great. And then it was at a level 2 training in Cancun that I saw her again, and she was off the cleanse now about a month. And because she was running and stuff, She had calves that were like this. They were like like full of muscle, full of muscle. Oh, but there's no protein. Doesn't matter. You still gain muscle. When I go to the gym, I actually am stronger at the gym. And Barney mentioned, and this happens to people, generally the first time you go to the gym and when you're cleansing, you might not have the strength and or the stamina, even though you may feel more energetic. But after your second, third, fourth cleanse, you'll find each time you do it, you'll get stronger and stronger. You have greater strength and even more stamina. So, some of you may go, well, what is this cleanse? Well, it's a diet. It's a liquid mono diet, a diet of maple syrup, lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and water. And it's, I went a little faster, it's freshly squeezed lemon juice. You can't buy concentrated lemon juice. You can't squeeze up lemons for a day and make lemonade for a day. It doesn't work. You make your lemonade fresh. Now, there were some questions here, and people, I've had people say, but I'm allergic to lemon and I'm allergic to cayenne. And somebody pretty much said this. Well, you know what? My experience has been those people, if they just go on the lemonade diet and they don't have any other food, it doesn't bother them. Really. One woman, I was out eating with her. It was Jeffrey Lewis and Gail Ann Green, if you know, she passed away some weeks ago. But we were out eating Mexican food in East Rutherford. And her name is Alice. And Alice said to me, Tom, I go into anaphylactic shock if I have citrus foods. What do I do? I said, well, just go on the master cleanse. But I said, one rule, do not cheat one single iota, nothing. You just do exclusively the master cleanse and nothing else, no cheating. So I come back almost a year later, I think it was, and I was talking to Jeffrey's group. There's about, it's a large group, about 80 people, 90 people, something like this. And generally, Jeffrey introduces me, but no, not today. No. Alice insists she's going to introduce me. So she says, people, last time Tom was here, I told him I go into anaphylactic shock if I have lemon. And you know what he said? He said, go on the master cleanse. I was like, are you insane? Like, really? Like, go on the master cleanse. I just told you I might die. And you just said, just don't cheat. She said, well, I eat a half a grapefruit every morning for breakfast now. And how did that come about? She went on the master cleanse, and her allergies, and it's not really an allergy, but her issues with lemon were gone. So I have people allergic to lemon, allergic to cayenne. And it's not that you're allergic to, it's they induce or push the body to try and detoxify. But you're eating at this time, and it causes a conflict. So when you're on the master cleanse, you're not eating. You're just drinking lemonade, which is already in a liquid soluble form. Is that the easiest form of food or nutrient or substance that your body can assimilate? It requires so little energy that this is why you have an abundance of energy on the master cleanse, because 50, 60, 70, 80% of your energy of your body is used for what? Digestion. Just to make what you eat into a liquid soluble form. Well, guess what? Lemonade is already liquid soluble, and it's very easily assimilated. So that extra energy for digestion that you need to live is now no longer required, and it goes back into your body, and your body then heals itself, and you feel more energetic in most cases. If you're really quite toxic and you go on the cleanse and you stir up a lot of toxicity, you might feel worse for the first few days. You could feel headachy, tired, brain fog a little bit, and you might not. I had a friend, and he went on the cleanse, and he don't jump to conclusions here from what I say, but he went on the cleanse for 6 hours and he died. No, he didn't die. He was going, I'm dying. I'm going like, and this is killing me. I went, how can drinking lemonade for 6 hours kill you? Well, yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. Well, it was 6 months later, we're talking, and this man says to me, I can eat 6 chocolate bars a day. I mean, it doesn't bother me. And I went, six chocolate bars a day. You couldn't drink lemonade for 6 hours and not die. So the lemonade's not going to make you sick. It can't. It actually helps your body to heal itself. The crap that you've got in your body that it might stir up, that might make you sick. And so I've got 40 years of experience. I've done the Master Cleanse over 3 years of my life. So I have a lot of experience with just about anything and everything. I don't care what you throw at me. There's an answer. There's a way around it. There's a way to fix it. And part of what I'm doing is that you've got to trust what I have to say, which is, okay, I'm going to go on the cleanse and I'm not going to die. I went on the cleanse in 1979 to prove it wouldn't work, that it was the stupidest thing you could think of. It was a bunch of BS. I did the cleanse for 10 days. It changed my life. My teacher, who took the training from Stanley Burroughs about a dozen times to learn it, went on the cleanse for 60 days to prove Stanley Burroughs was a fraud. My teacher lost 60 pounds. He passed a tumor. His allergies went away. His back problem cleared up. And he looks 10 to 15 years younger, and he's running 10 miles a day. If you buy my book, and at the back of the book, you see testimonials, the woman who did 372 days, their story is in there. And his story is there with pictures, before and after 60 days. Like he looks like an entirely different person. Well, he is. That's the thing. You're a new person. So I've got to get to some of these questions here. There's a bunch of questions on the page here. So,
yeah. Hey, Tom.
Where have they gone? There's
Tom.
Yeah.
They're there. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you
that
now.
was good. I was just looking at the questions. Okay. Before we get to the other questions, that was good as a summary, because there are some good ones coming in. Jennifer, I think this is really important. So hello, Jennifer, by the way. She asked about this, because I've been asked this quite a few times as well. So let's just address it now. What are the reported Herxheimer's reactions to that people have reported, based on what you just said, about the fact that if people are, intolerant or allergic to lemons or the cayenne pepper?
Cayenne. Well,
yeah.
I'm not even familiar with the word that you're describing. I mean, so I don't believe in allergies per se. So let me explain sort of what's going on and why you may be experiencing what you call as an allergic effect. And I'll talk about how Gary dealt with that as well. And most of you are young living people. So when I work with people and they say they have an allergy, I don't ask, what are you allergic to? I ask, who are you allergic to? Who in your life are you allergic to? From there, then we go, okay, it's someone, and you've now manifested a symptom from a food that actually relates to that person. And so when I get them to deal with their emotional issues, their allergy will go away. Now, I've spent a lot of time around Gary, and if many of you are probably familiar with the oil, and I don't have it real handy here, the oil Harmony. And I remember Gary talking about one of the doctors, the woman I know personally, and he said, I'm doing a workshop, and she's got these allergies, she's sniffling, and he said, take some Harmony. You got some Harmony? So you take 5 or 6 drops of Harmony, put it in your palm, rub your palms together, and take one palm over not on your shirt, but on your chest, cover your heart with one palm, take the other palm that's got oil on it, and cover your navel. And you hold for 20 seconds. And then you switch hands, and they again hold for 20 seconds. And it can take like less than a minute, and people's allergies will go away. Now, how is that possible? Let me explain. So when you're out of, have an issue kind of out of sorts, or having issue with your heart with someone, it shows up as a digestive complaint. And so Harmony is to bring your heart back in harmony with your gut or with your colon. Does that make sense? So I believe that every illness or every condition that you have in your body starts in mind. It's a thought, it's a belief, it's an expectation in a sense. Like I was talking to a woman in a grocery, not a grocery store, a health food store. She owned a health food store. And I was talking with her for about a half an hour, and I'd be telling stories and saying things. And she said to me in the conversation, "That breaks my heart," 6 times. That breaks my heart 6 times. And I said, "I got to go home now. I'm leaving." She goes, "Where do you live?" And I told her, she said, "Oh, I'm going to be there next week." I said, what are you going to be there? She said, "Oh, I'm going in for open heart surgery. I got a broken mitral valve." Her heart was broken because she kept saying, that breaks my heart. Um, a roommate of mine would say, "Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. Give me." Well, he fell down and broke his face. And a bunch of us were asking him, "How did you do this?" Not how did you fall? How did you do this? And he said, "Do you know how I used to always say, 'Give me a break'? Well, I got one. And I now know, and I now realize from saying this repeatedly, I got a break." And I met somebody else who said it a lot and fell and broke her back and was told she'd never walk again. She did recover, but that was one of her favorite sayings. I was out with her one day and she said, "Give me a break," about 8 or 9 times. I said, "Tony, you told me that you were supposed to never walk again." I said, "You know why? You keep saying, 'Give me a break.'" And it wouldn't be just, it would, it wasn't just "give me a break." It was "give me a break," like really intense. So the Herxheimer's is the healing crisis. Okay. So what's a healing crisis? Well, when you're on the master cleanse and you're carrying around 2 or 3 pounds of crap, or some people say shit. I feel like crap, or I feel like whatever, because you know what? That's what's poisoning you. You've got this waste in your body and it's poisoning you. So when you go on the cleanse and the lemon and the cayenne break up and loosen mucus, they start to dissolve these toxins. The water starts to hydrate stuff. And the toxins start to circulate in your body. And so, yes, you might feel worse, but it's not the lemonade doing this. These are toxins that are poisoning you, and you're now just starting to get into them. You're rooting them out in a sense. And as you're doing that, you're stirring up the toxicity. Sometimes you may feel bad, and other times not. My 3 years of doing the master cleanse, I've never felt bad one day. I've never felt sick. Excuse me, I got an itchy nose here. So, as I said, people can go through, headaches, and they go, but it's actually caffeine withdrawal, or they're feeling tired and drowsy because they're going through sugar withdrawal. People may have, if you're like smoking suppresses anger and frustration, and let's see, alcohol suppresses fear. And so when we're used to using all of these various things to suppress our feelings and sensations in our body, and you go on the cleanse, guess what? It's not a suppressant for anything, is it lets everything out. And so you may go through, as some people say, some healing crises, but it's just your body actually trying to fix itself the best way it can. And that's where the work that I do, people on the calls say, "I've got this and this." And I've been doing some what's called long distance Vitaflex, or Standing Girls called it fourth dimensional. And I will do this to people right on the call. And some people have had some rather miraculous changes in their health and well-being and the pain in their body. Some people have had their pain completely stop with just doing that. So I also will offer affirmations. And of course, a lot of you are into essential oils. So I'll say, pull out this oil, put this on, say this affirmation. And how did that get there? Which is, how did this condition start in the first place? And as we sort of dig in, we're not just going into the physical cause or manifestation of the illness, but how the thoughts, the beliefs that we carry dearly with us our whole life have manifested this problem in our bodies. I said, that breaks my heart, or somebody's a pain in the butt, they've got hemorrhoids, or a pain in the neck and their neck hurts. There's all of these things that, like our words, they create the experience that we have in life. So, you want to speak happy thoughts to have a happy life, to have happy experiences. You complain all the time, all you do is get more things to complain about. So I see just here real quick.
Tom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I'll go through. There's
Okay.
some really good ones. Kind of let me ask you. Let's do some rapid fire here. So there's a good one because that was really good, and I know that you guys. Just a quick caveat for those of you wondering. I think the oils. Let's hit that one first. And I just lost it. It was from Peggy here saying which. How do you use oils when cleansing, and which oils?
It depends on the person and what's going on. I often have people taking oregano, thyme, and thieves in combination in their own capsules. And I usually start them slow, maybe 3 or 4 times a day during the cleanse. As I said, spent a lot of time with Gary, and Gary, he said that taking oils internally is not that effective because usually people are taking them with food, and the oils sort of get lost in the mix with all that food. But then I said specifically, Gary, what about on the master cleanse, which I already knew the answer. And he said, well, of course, yeah, the master cleanse, they work well because you're just drinking liquids, so they work well. You can't take supplements or eat other foods on the cleanse because then it starts up the digestive system. Well, why can you take oils? Because oils don't need digestion. They're already in their simplest form. They're just simple molecules. And what happens in the body is they actually metabolize or burn, just like sugar does in our body. And when they burn, they release frequencies of light or specific colors of light that then affect the body. And I'll describe what colors do what in the body, and then how oils are actually just liquid light. That's part of the class. I'll talk about color therapy and a number of things. But of course, putting oils on topically, if somebody has a specific condition, or an oil that you can use on an emotional level, and why you would use that as well. So I might have you doing 2 or 3 different oils, and it could be some topically, some inhaling, some suggestions are to take internally. Go ahead.
Yeah. So really, I mean, which is great, a great summary, but everybody wondering, just know that nothing really changes based on how you would normally use them, with the exception of, aromatically, topically, and then internally, there's the ones that you can take, your plus and vitality oils, the ones that Tom suggests to help just with the stuff that's in your stomach, the parasites and all that fun stuff, is the thyme, oregano, and thieves. And this one from Alex was saying, what's the minimum amount of time? 10 days. And then she says no supplements. So there's no supplements, no Ningxia Red, no nitro, only enzymes and oils.
You can take encapsulated herbs. But one thing I wanted to mention, because you were talking earlier, I had a client, a Young Living client, and this woman was having a prolapsed uterus. And she said it was hanging from her vagina inverted 6 inches, and she started on the master cleanse, and she did the cleanse for 32 consecutive days. She traveled 8 hours a day to see me for treatments, and using her oils and stuff. And on day 30, she came to see me, and she said 2 things: that now this is as good as I knew I could feel, but never knew how to get here. So this is what I always wanted, but didn't know what would do it. And the second thing she said is, now the oils really work. So if you're a Young Living distributor and you're using oils and you want them to work kind of like, magic, when your body is cleansed, you just have to be in the cleanse for 10 days and hi there, and you're going to feel the effects of those oils much more quickly. The acidity or the toxicity in your body that impedes their effectiveness, when you start to loosen that up and get that out of the way, they're magic. Like I treat people, put oils on them, 2 seconds after I put the oil on, they'll go, oh my God, it's gone. What did you just do? I just put an oil on. How, and it's because pretty much everybody I treat pretty much does the master cleanse. I mean, that's just a part of the protocol that I use. If you're going to come to see me, you go on the master cleanse. It's just that simple. And why wouldn't you do that? I mean, one of my friends, I'd only been into this for a matter of weeks, and a friend of mine did 40 days in a row to test the cleanse, and then put his girlfriend on the cleanse who had leukemia. She did use a color lamp, and in 10 days of going to the cancer clinic every day, on the 10th day, her leukemia was gone. 10 days. And I'd only been doing this like 2 months, maybe. My former wife had cervical cancer. They said, we need to do a hysterectomy immediately. And, people who found out came up to me and went, Tom, we understand that you do this work, but, don't be cuckoo. Don't let it go to your head. This stuff, lemonade thing it's fine, but, this is your wife. You don't want, I'm just like, go away. She went on the cleanse. We used color therapy, worked on the emotional issues. We had 2 children 11 months apart. Somebody they wanted to do a hysterectomy on immediately. And who knows? We didn't even talk about chemotherapy or radiation. I mean, I wouldn't even go to the doctor. I refused to go. I didn't want to be there because I just knew it'd be a bunch of noise. And so, I mean, I've used this successfully for myself and family, as long as there were. But I mean, I was going to say I had a family member, a cousin, who had leukemia, and I told him to do the cleanse for 10 days, and no, he chose to die. Because he didn't want to believe me. And it's like, yeah, your cousin's trying to kill you. Yeah, right. You're like, why? Yes, go ahead, Barney.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say so the question on that, because it's good to give this some more context, is I think some of you, when you're asking, just like when I was starting too, I'm wondering, had all these questions, can you do this? Can you do that? And, there is even though, and I've said this before in the group with people that are going through this, I mean, it's simple. It's basically just, you take water, you can have some herbal tea, you can have sleek tea on it. But you want to drink the lemonade, and Tom goes through the specifics, but it's simple in theory, but there are a lot of questions, as you can see here, of all the questions that are coming up. And this one, Diana, so there's a couple like really foundational ones. Is there any substitute in place of the maple syrup, maybe Ningxia berry syrup or sulfur's?
No. Okay. So let's go back. Let's start all over. It's the master cleanse or the lemonade diet. It is maple syrup, real maple syrup, freshly squeezed lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and water. That's it. You don't take any other supplements. Yeah. You don't add foods. You don't either. All it does is actually hinder it. It doesn't make it work more effectively. This is the problem with this program. It's too simple. You need to add all these other things.
Yeah.
I just tell people, Stanley Burroughs had a saying, when in doubt, follow the instructions. I mean, just do it right. You also have to take an herbal laxative twice a day to keep your bowels moving, like every night just before you go to bed and every morning when you first get up. And you have to do this because your body, when you start to see what comes out of your body, and I'm laughing at myself because I did it for 10 days and I lost 9 pounds, and just half of it was just slime coming out my butt. Like most people call me up and go, they're frightened because they've turned around and looked in the toilet and go, what is that? I go, what did you eat in the last 30 years? And it's finally coming out. Like this client I had today, she's like, she's so upset about what's coming out. And I go, like, it's better out than in. And then I don't know if Angela and Gerald, they're doing they're on the cleanse about 36 days now, and they're doing the Kalima board, and they, I don't think they'd mind that they're just saying they can't believe what's coming out of their body at this point, and that's most people are in shock. I wanted to say there was a woman here saying that she wrote about she can't hold a baby.
I was going to Tanya.
So I had a woman some years ago who miscarried multiple times. She went on the cleanse. I did 2 or 3 colon lifts on her, and she carried her first baby full term. And that was after doing the master cleanse. I've had a number of women who are sterile or infertile. IVF doesn't work. They go on the master cleanse, they get pregnant and have their baby. One woman I talked to said, I did the master cleanse 4 times and I got pregnant 4 times doing it. And, because people become more fertile. Your body gets healthier. You become more fertile, and it's easier to get pregnant.
And some of you might not, you might want to take the necessary precautionary measures if you don't want to have more children, because that might happen. And Kathy, just to hit on a couple things. So there's Kathy, yes, ideally organic maple syrup, but for the most part, the majority of maple syrup is organic.
It's organic. Yeah.
Unless I don't think that there's non-organic. And then the other thing, this is from Amit. Can you use limes instead of lemons? Any brand of maple syrup will do, question mark. And by the way, these are really, really, really great questions. And we have a rule. We kind of just, Tom and I joke about this. It's only a silly question if you ask it twice or you already know the answer. But it's really great that you're asking this question, because, these are so, and that's what I said before, this is a simple program, but then there's all these great questions that come up. So go ahead, Tom, on the limes.
So limes can be used instead of lemons, but the color of a ripe lime should almost be this color of the book. I don't know if it's showing up that accurately. It's almost yellow. It's a slight, when you see a lime that's this color, it's unripe. And that's what you find all the time in the store. So if you go on the cleanse using unripe fruit, you will get a stomach ache, your belly will hurt, and you'll hate the cleanse. You'll be starving. I talked to somebody recently, and she has, like last week, because I talk to people all the time from all over, and she has a lime tree in her backyard. And she said, when people see it, because she leaves their limes on until they get yellow, and people say, "Oh, you have a lime tree or a lemon tree." She goes, "No, these are limes." "Those are limes?" She goes, "Yeah, they're ripe," because everybody sees them green. And she says, "I'll squeeze them a lime and make them a limeade," and they go, "This is amazing," because it tastes completely different from an unripe lime. So I tell people, don't use limes unless you absolutely know that they're ripe. And it's the same with lemons. If you're not careful and you're using unripe lemons, you'll feel sick on the cleanse. And I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
And generally any brand of maple syrup will work as long as it's real maple syrup. It hasn't, it's not Aunt Jemima or something.
Jemima's. Yeah, we have a lot of interest. I live in the maple syrup capital here in Ontario. There's just farmers that grow maple syrup. I think Quebec and Ontario is considered like the capital. But anyway, we have made connections with a local farmer that produces 8,000 to 12,000 liters a year, and it is like liquid gold. So that will be mentioned, or it's optional. But for those of you who want to start like tomorrow, this Friday, you're going to want to find something local and close. But Tom, I wanted to pull this up from.
There's a question there about agave.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to pull up.
Okay. So no, agave is actually poison. What? Agave is, and I wrote this in my book and actually gave Gary my book. And after he read that, he wouldn't speak to me because Young Living was using agave. So why would you not want to use agave? So agave comes from the cactus plant. It's about, the sugar makeup is 90% or so, 89, 90% fructose and 10% sucrose. Well, your body cannot assimilate fructose. So the fructose, when in the bloodstream, passes through the liver, and the liver then says, "Oh, we got to do something with this because we can't utilize fructose." So there's two pathways. The first one is change it into glucose. Okay, that's fine. Or the second pathway is called lipogenesis, or fat creation. Now, you know that the glycemic index of agave is very low. So you're eating a sugar, but no sugar shows up in the blood. What does that mean? Oh, it just drifts off into the ethers. It magically disappears. No. It turns to a type of cholesterol that clogs your arteries and causes heart disease. If high fructose corn syrup, which is 55% fructose, is bad for you, wouldn't something that's 95% fructose? Now you said, well, why did you just said 90? Well, when you take sucrose and the liver takes sucrose and splits it, it turns it into fructose and glucose. So that 10% turns to 5 and 5. So you're now at 95% fructose, as opposed to high fructose corn syrup, which is 55%. Now, it was only after my book and Gary seeing this that fructose, or that agave was taken out of Ningxia Red, and so it was this miracle sugar for a long time because of its low glycemic index, but there were many other health related problems. When I've seen people who've done the cleanse on agave, it doesn't work. I can see it doesn't. I can look at their body; it doesn't work. So,
I
um,
I agree. Thank you for clarifying that. There's a couple things just for time because we have 13 minutes until the next kickoff call. I wanted to, so we got the agave one, laxatives. Tom, there's the Swiss Chris in the States. It's a tablet form. And then there's the tea called Smooth Move. Pretty much any and all health food stores carry Smooth Move. It's really great. And then for Canadians, there's it's called
stomach ease.
and that's the one we used. And we took the tablets at night and then the Smooth Move in the morning. And then Tanya.
Yep. Just real quick, when you're doing the laxative on the master cleanse, you do not follow the instructions on the container or the bottle. Because you're not eating, you're just drinking liquids. If it says take one tablet on the bottle, usually you have to take anywhere from 3 to 5 to get effective use of that laxative. Or if it says steep for 5 minutes as a tea, steep it for 15 so that it works effectively. Because we're not getting rid of new poop. We're getting rid of old stuff that needs a lot more effort to get out.
Yeah, and I found that we were my wife and I were between 4 and 5 tablets at night. And again, guys, this is, there's, as we talked earlier, there's so many questions that come up and all of this stuff. Remember that in a nutshell, this program, because I know that we're not going to be able to get to all the questions. Tom and or I will come back and try to answer as best as possible. There's some who are going through the cleanse that are answering some questions for us. But just know that this program is the online group cleanse. And, the whole thing was started because Tom had an idea, Barney had an idea. We've talked about this. Tom and I've talked about this for like years. It just never happened until the coronavirus and all this stuff came up. We're like, hey, well, this is a good time. People are at home, and it's been really amazing. But just know that there's literally in 11 minutes, the first kickoff call is happening. The group is starting tomorrow, and all that means, in a nutshell, if you're watching and you're maybe going to hop off and you missed this, because we're going to answer a couple more questions, just know this, in a nutshell, it's a 16-day experience. The next 3 days, so if you're live right now, that would be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All you're doing is just eating regular food and eliminating processed foods, sugars, and alcohol and caffeine, and slowly winding yourself down. And then the first day of the 10-day cleanse is on this Saturday. And to answer the question from somebody who asked earlier, the minimum time, Tom, that it takes to get an effect that's ideal is 10 days, right?
Well, 10 days is the minimum, yeah, because if you do it for 3 days and you stop, for most people who are so toxic and have never cleansed, they'll be just 3 days into it and they haven't even yet, their body hasn't kind of shifted through it's still in the sort of the difficult phase where people don't feel as well. And sometimes they'll hit the 4th day and go, I feel amazing. But those first 3 days were feeling a little rough. And it'd be like if you never, say you didn't bathe, say you never bathed for 40 years, and then, I'm going to take a 5-minute shower. 5 minutes just may not cut it. You might want to have a bath for a couple of hours and somebody scrub you down and whatever. We're talking about what's going on inside the body. And there's just a lot of questions here. Like, what about hypoglycemic reactions? Like, I've had people who take 60, 70 units of insulin a day, and within 4 or 5 days are off their insulin completely. I've worked with thousands of people. How many people that I've worked that are diabetic or pre-diabetic are hundreds of thousands, in the thousands. It's not a fast, it's not a starvation program. Until you do it, it's really hard to really appreciate how much it can do for you. There was another question I wanted to look that I wanted to see. Somebody was asking about you want to make your lemonade fresh. Don't squeeze out 10 lemons for the day. And in the program, as we're going through this, I will explain all of that. I can't do all of this in this 1 hour. It's just to answer some of the questions. And somebody was asking, will all of this information be covered? Yeah. We'll be sending out an email for those people who are signed up that has a sort of a basic, step by step how to do all of this. And then on the calls, I will go into more detail. And of course, my book, The Complete Master Cleanse, has all of this information. I would like to show you one, but the book, the people selling, where I'm getting my books from there because of the COVID, I've been waiting weeks to get my supply of books. And I don't know, they can't even tell me if they've been shipped or where they're going or how they're coming or whatever, but I'm waiting for books. But yes, we will cover all of the information, all of the questions that you have. And we're getting really short on time. I can see Barney kind of, we only got minutes here because we have to go to the next call.
No, I'm good. I'm just, because I have two little,
you got your little
human minions running around.
I understand that.
But this one, Tanya or Tonya, you don't eat. Technically you eat the lemonade. So just think in your mind you are eating, but you're just eating the lemonade as you drink it. And that's a little bit of a joke. But I have a feeling, Tom, we did this last time because I think that what we can do, if you're able to do this tomorrow, if you guys are on, because there are many, many questions that come up. And let me just kind of briefly summarize it for you. Basically, the program is $35, so it's extremely ineffective, inexpensive, but very effective. And it's amazing because every day for the next 16 days, we go live at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you can't make the call, you can send in your questions. So there's a Facebook group. We're starting a new website so that there'll be the online community there. And if you have questions, just know that what we will do is we'll do our best to come back and get these questions. But I think that if you're on it now, I get this really strong sense that people are like, oh my gosh, you didn't get to my question. Just know this, that we answer the questions live on the Zoom calls, then you get the replays, number one. Number two. And then number three is, if you are interested, Tom and I did this before the second one, and we did like a private little Zoom call. For those of you who are interested, what I need you to do, or what I would suggest that you do if you'd like to do this, do you want to do this tomorrow, Tom? Just do a short little Zoom call that we can answer these specific questions. So
sure, absolutely.
We'll do it tomorrow. We'll have to, I don't know the time, because we're just doing this right now. But what I need you to do is to comment down below and say, what can you say? Just put Zoom call, yes, please, or Zoom. Let me just think about this. Just put Zoom questions, okay? All you need to put is Zoom questions, and then I will get myself and my team to send you an email to give you the Zoom call details, because I know that there's a lot of questions on here that we didn't get to answer. And then we can answer your questions. If you had questions like about medication, about supplements, about, I've had a concern about this, about, Jennifer was posting about had a colonoscopy, and if everything's cleaned out from that, shouldn't everything already be cleaned out? Is there more that can still come out? I'm going to say probably yes. But if you have more questions, because there are a lot of things that actually come up, I think what I want to kind of wrap things up with here for right now, because we did only have a hard stop on an hour, is just trust the process. If you're the praying, meditating type, then do what you got to do. Pray, meditate, journal, dose, muscle test, and ask for some guidance and direction, because I can tell you, if you trust me at all with being involved with the Young Living Summit or the Wild Success Summit, with Tom being in Young Living for how long, that we're here to help, and that there's a lot that are on here, like Sandra and Yvonne and Alex and a bunch of other people, Joanne, who have been in the community. If you have questions, you can ask them. Just know that we're here to help. It's extremely inexpensive. So $35, and what that gets you is the Facebook group, the Zoom calls, and then access to the replay during the program. So if you miss something, you're not going to get left out, and you can ask your questions in the Facebook group and talk to Tom. And the calls were supposed to be 60 minutes, but Tom has a really hard time stopping at 90 minutes. Sometimes they've been like, it's not a bad thing, Tom. It's a good thing. Sometimes they're like an hour and 45 minutes. But there's ample time to be able to get your questions answered there. But to briefly summarize again, just put in Zoom call or Zoom questions, and we will reach out to you, or you can just reply to the email that you got from us from the summit, or just email us if you're not on our list at support@fullcircleholistichealth.com, because I've been doing this enough in coaching and being in business and fitness and being in marketing. And the last thing we want to have is anybody getting frustrated because they didn't get their questions answered. It's just that we only have so much time on the call. And Tom, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, there was Valerie, who I know is on the call, and she was talking about her friend who's the nurse, and that'll all be answered on the next call that we're going to do. But Valerie, for the other people who may have seen this, you can't pre-mix your lemonade. You can pre-mix a concentrate of maple and lemon. The maple syrup will act as a preservative with the lemon juice. But once you add your water to it, you got to drink it within 5 to 10 minutes. I generally try and drink it within 5. You can add your cayenne pepper then as well, but you can't mix a half a gallon and carry it around. You can make up a glass, but don't carry it around for 30 minutes. You mix it up and drink it within 5 minutes, 10 at most. So anyways, and I see Leslie's kind of, answering some of those questions as well.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of minutes to the next Zoom
call.
We're
gonna go to the next call. So guys, thanks for jumping on. Another answer, Peggy, by the way, Peggy from Abbotsford, BC. You had asked about, I think you're moving, to Calgary or to Alberta. Basically, just know that if you missed this one, don't stress out at all. There is going to be another one in June. So the next one starts June the 4th. But if you came here late or you got tagged and you're like, what the heck's going on? These guys are talking about poop and now there's all these questions. So just put in Zoom call or Zoom questions, and then we will reach out to you with the details, or you can reply to the email that you received from us at the summit, and then we'll send you the details. And then Tom and I will do a short little, realistically, it's going to be 30 to 60 minutes Zoom call where you can hop on and ask your questions, and we can chat. And just know that even if you come in late to this and you're listening to this as a replay, we have had people that were so excited and they're like, wow, I feel like I totally need to do this. And then they started when we were on day 2. They just started on day 1, and then we helped them kind of get up to snuff. But ideally, if you can get yourself ready and just get started and then join with us on the Saturday of the start, it's for the next 3 days. There's a lot of prep, so we'll have plenty of time to answer your questions. Sound good?
Great. So we'll do that tomorrow, and we're jumping on to the next call. And thank you for joining, and hope to see you in the next call or during the next cleanse here.
It'll be good. Okay, guys, we'll see you in the future. If you think we did a good job, let Tom and I let our bosses know, and that way we might get a raise. And if not, then keep your opinions to yourself. My little sense of humor. But thanks for coming. And then those of you who are joined already, then we'll see you on Zoom in like 30 seconds. Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Or if you're in Australia, enjoy the rest of your day as you get started. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.